me how I knew my true love was blue. Ah,
Hello, fellows. Welcome to episode 13 of the Heart of Markness podcast. 4 podcasts in 4 weeks. I'm doing this. We're doing this together. We are the world. We are the children. All right, on to Led Zeppelin. This episode is going to be about Led Zeppelin in Osaka, Japan, 1971, September 29th to be specific. It's another one of those top 10, top 5 shows that you just got to hear and you just got to own if you like Zeppelin. And I'm trying to stick more to the middle of the road than the first few episodes when I got into like the deep esoterica of like everything that Jimmy Page did in 1984, which was interesting to me, but admittedly has more of a niche a niche art house audience as opposed to just Led Zeppelin. It's like, who wants pizza? Yay! That's Led Zeppelin. So let's have some pizza. 1971, Zeppelin is in September of 71. Zeppelin is touring Japan for the first time. They toured twice. They toured again in 72, which was not, I mean, it was good. I mean, they were good in 72. They didn't have, bad shows, but it wasn't as on fire as, say, the How the West Was Won show, which was June. But they did have some good stuff, and maybe we'll visit that. But the 71 Japan tour is where it's at. And although there's a strong argument to be made that the 23rd is a better show, the 29th is the go-to because it has 30,000 different sources in the bootleg world for it. The one I got back in the early 80s, like maybe 1985, at Innerlight Records in Manchester, New Hampshire, was Cellarful of Noise. And it was an excellent quality vinyl, but it ran too slow. It sounded like, a Walkman when the batteries were dying. Daddy, what's a Walkman? Daddy, what are batteries? But I sped it up. I had a variable speed turntable because I was cool, and got up to close enough to pitch and made a recording of it, and it was good, and it was what I listened to for a zillion years. Then the internet happened, and then broadband happened, and now there's 8 billion different sources for this show and 8 billion different remasters and reimaginings of the show and matrices. That's the plural of matrix. And last year, Empress Valley, I think, one of the bootleg companies released a mono soundboard that I was actually holding out, and I was going to do a podcast back when it came out in last September, but it just broke my heart. They eliminated all the songs that I wanted to play for you, and it's excellent. It's excellent. I don't like that it's mono because several of the bootleg sources are stereo and are really, really good. So what I'm going to play tonight is actually a mix of sources. I'm going to have at least one song from the soundboard recording that came out last year because it really is wonderful. But I'm going to stick to bootlegs. I think I have an Eddie Edwards remaster for one of the songs. I have Wendy's Fatally Wanderer for Tangerine, because I love it and it's great. And on that version, you can hear faintly in the right channel Jimmy singing harmony, and it's a unique. What I'm getting ahead of myself. So, 1971 in Japan. In this show in Osaka, particularly, specifically, not particularly, Bonzo John Bonham had what I think ended up being defined as just like stomach troubles. And some of the sources say that he just had, bubble guts from drinking too much Japanese wine, sake. but maybe it could have just been drinking, or it could have just been, the radical change in diet in the 70s, going from England, where you eat boiled and tomato. I'm sorry for everybody I just offended. To go from that to Japanese cuisine is probably has a bit of an effect on the old gastrointestinal tract. But in any case, Bonzo basically just bounced, just left the stage, not in the middle of a song or anything, but during the acoustic set, he just kind of disappeared, and the guys were going to go into Tangerine, and they're waiting for him, and there's a great call and response where Robert's leading the audience. Mr. Bonham, you'll hear it. Again, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Did you guys know marijuana's legal in Oregon? Did you know I live in Oregon? Discuss. My apologies for the rambling, but I promise this is going to be good because the music's good, which is why most of the time I'm pretty happy with the episodes I put out, because regardless of how I am, you guys get to listen to a few really awesome songs by a really awesome band, and in versions that you usually would not hear. So, I like being kind of a guidepost on the way. So, hey, there's a whole world of live recordings out here. Check them out. Or if you don't want to and you just like Led Zeppelin, enjoy this. But enough of me. TLDR, Zeppelin's in Japan, 1971. That's awesome. And I'm going to play for you the opening of the show, even though there are plenty of, or at least one, maybe probably two, live versions of the Immigrant song that you can buy officially. I'm sure there's one kicking around on the BBC sessions, and How the West Was Won opens after the LA drone with the Immigrant song. But you guys are going to hear it again because A, it's a fantastic song and it's kick-ass and it's a great opener, and because it's in great quality, and because you can hear Bonzo psyching himself and the band up clear as a bell before they start playing. He's like, Zeppelin, louder, louder. Great stuff. You'll hear it, you'll smile, and I'll be back. Thanks, guys. Well, that was rather abrupt, no? I'm sorry. That source is just loud. If you look at the waveform, it's just solid. It doesn't clip. It doesn't seem to clip or clip much, so I kept it. But yeah, there's a lot there. So I'm sorry. I did my best to try and match the audio levels of the different sources as well as match the audio levels of my soft lilting voice. You know, in comparison with Led Zeppelin, that gentle Celtic acoustic trio. So I'm working on it, guys. So that was the Immigrant Song, and that was John Bonham being awesome. And that was the mono soundboard recording that came out last year. Really good. Really, really good. Now, they jump straight from the Immigrant Song into Heartbreaker, which is why it's such an abrupt ending, because it's a track change. I'm not going to play that source for Heartbreaker. I'm going to go with the Fatally Wanderer source, because it makes Jonesy's bass sound a lot better, and it's a stereo source, and it's excellent on its own. But, plot twist, I'm not going to play Heartbreaker right now. I'm going to play Tangerine because it's my favorite track on the album. It's my favorite version of this song that's performed, even more than the Earl's Court one. It's just purely acoustic because, as we said before, Bonzo wasn't feeling well, or he got pissed, or I think he just had stomach troubles from food or booze or just being alive. And he left the stage during the acoustic set, and he was supposed to come back for Tangerine, but he didn't. And there's, a couple minutes of minor turmoil as Jimmy and Jonesy are tuning up and getting ready, where Robert's trying to get him. And in these sources, you can hear them talking quite clearly. You can hear Robert going, "Where's Bonzo?" And people saying he refuses to come out. And Robert gets pissed, and Robert talks to the crowd and tries to appease the Japanese audience in a way that, in this day and age, would shame Jerry Lewis as far as cultural. Come on now, guys. But it was cute, and the audience was having a good time. And the band ultimately just tears into an acoustic version of Tangerine that's just beautiful, 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 beautiful. And as I said, if you listen closely on the far right channel, you can hear, it's got to be Jimmy, singing harmony vocals here and there. And it's really sweet and it's really cute. And it's just a great, beautiful version of a very beautiful, sweet song. So, Tangerine, here you go. Oh, and before Tangerine, there's a couple minutes of Robert complaining and looking for Bonzo. Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Bonham! Listen, after three, everybody say, Mr. Bonham. 1, 2, 3. Mr. Bonham! For fuck's sake. Mr. Bonham, what can you say? Mr. Bonham go for bath with geisha. Yeah. Right on. I'm afraid Mr. Where is he? Where's Bonham? What? He refuses to come. Fuck you, mate. Where's he gone? All right then. No, Mr. Bonham. Mr. Bonham gone. I know what you mean. So. I'm a country boy. measuring the summer's day. I only find it slips away to gray. The hours they bring me pain. Tangerine, tangerine, living reflection of a dream. I was her love, she was my queen. And now 1,000 years between, thinking how it used to be. Does she still remember times like these? To think of us again, and I do. Tangerine, tangerine, living reflection of a dream. I was her love, she was my queen. And now 1,000 years between. Mr. Bonham, after 3. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Where's he gone? Where's the old dame? Ah, who's this coming over the screen? Mr. Bonham! Japan is a wonderful place, and you're too much. You're putting up with a lot of...
Wasn't that fun? I really like it. I do have nostalgia for it because it was one of the first bootlegs I ever bought. So I'm biased. But it is a unique version of Tangerine, and it is a beautiful version of Tangerine. And the whole thing is just sort of funny. And I hope you like it. I apologize for the background noise. It is 94 degrees here in beautiful Portland, Oregon, and it is 80 degrees in my room with the air conditioner, which is what you're hearing, running. So accommodations have to be met to, for human dignity to be maintained. It's fucking hot up here, so sorry for the noise. And before I forget, the little snippet of Pennies from Heaven at the beginning of the podcast is from this show. I just want it's kind of a non sequitur between songs. I think it's before What Is and What Should Never Be, but it is just a nice little standalone, and it's cute, and I thought it would be a good opener, so whatever. Podcast stuff. Hey, I have a podcast. You might know that because you're listening to it. I also have all the podcast stuff that podcasters have, except for a Patreon. But I have a Twitter, Heart of Markness, at Heart of Markness. Follow me. We'll be friends. It's starting to come together and become a little more active. I'm starting to get more followers, and things are starting to, when you're popping popcorn and you have those first couple of pops and then kind of nothing. We're coming out of the kind of nothing and getting a more pops happening. So, as Mr. Burns would say, percolations are imminent. So, yeah, follow me on Twitter. It'll be fun. If you're not on Twitter, you're on Facebook. And I'm also on Facebook, so you have no excuse. You have no excuse. Follow me or join the Facebook group, Heart of Markness. That'll be fun, too. Facebook is more conducive to talking about flat Earth and conspiracy theories and things like that. Did you know Jesus rode dinosaurs? But it also is a good place for groups to come together. And there are a zillion very good Led Zeppelin groups. So join Heart of Markness and make it a zillion and one. I also have a website, heartofmarkness.com. Are you seeing a trend? And on heartofmarkness.com, there's just a lot of stuff. Sometimes I'll put up just things I like. Stand-up comedy, documentaries, articles. But there will also be, of course, tons and tons of Zeppelin shit or whatever band I'm into at the moment. There's some screamingly good Allman Brothers up there. There's a really good Velvet Underground documentary buried in there somewhere. Some good comedy. And, of course, the podcasts. And in the blog posts about the podcast, which I didn't do one last week, I don't know why. I do know why. WordPress updated, and it changed and became, you know how Twitter changed if you're on Twitter? WordPress did the same thing. It went from being good old-fashioned WordPress to this stupid Fisher-Price-looking soft edges, big buttons, but I can't do any of the shit I want to do a layout. Which probably means I'm just old, but it's no longer easy peasy lemon squeezy for me to do a blog post like the old days where I just drop in the header, drop in the picture, here's the link, here's some words, format, link, tag, go. Nope. Now it's pretty little buttons. It's like anime. But anyways, that's just me being old and curmudgeonly. But yes, you can find podcasts, and when I post the podcasts on the website, I will often post links to the shows, the full shows that I use. Like, for example, when I did the Deus Ex Machina episode about the March 21st, 1975 soundboard, I posted a link to it. The Copenhagen show, last week's show, which was whatever it was. I didn't do a post about that. I pwned myself. You get the idea. So, we have website, we have Twitter, we have Facebook. One last thing, and this is something that everybody who has a podcast at the beginning says, because to my chagrin, I found out it's true. Please leave a review wherever you get this podcast. If you get it on iTunes, on your phone, take the 800 years it takes to drill down in the podcast part of iTunes or in the podcast app to find me and leave a review, even if it's just stars, even if you just go boom, 1 star, that's fine. It'll piss me off, but it's fine. But every review you leave gives me greater relevance to the search algorithms, and the more relevance I have to the search algorithms means that when somebody searches for Led Zeppelin or Jimmy Page in the podcast store, I will show up. Now you pretty much have to search for Heart of Markness. And then it says, did you mean Yen Can Cook? No, Heart of Markness. So let's, I want to get it off the ground at least, search-wise. Right now I'm like that old silent movie footage of ridiculous airplanes not flying. I'm the one with 8 trillion wings. That's not flying. So, please give me a review. Like the podcast if you get it on whatever you get Android podcasts off of. That, I suppose they just grow on trees and you gently pluck them off. But however you get the podcast, please take a moment to leave a review. Even if it's just stars, that works too. A comment is great. Any of that stuff, it's at the point now where it really, really, really matters. And I would really appreciate it. So if you like it, if you like Heart of Markness, if you like what I do, if you don't even like me, but you like the fact that once I shut the fuck up, you get to listen to some amazing music that you really wouldn't hear anywhere else, because even though this is super, super common in the bootleg live music world, that's a very small pie slice of the general population. So this is still probably kind of cool for you. So if that's the case, take the time, talk to your grandchild, and have them teach you how to use the phone and leave a review. It matters. It means a lot. And it truly, especially at this point, will really bring this podcast to more eyes who are looking for Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page, and thus, make this more successful, which gives me more impetus to do more podcasts and get more professional, and makes everybody in the entire world happy. As long as that everybody is me. So thank you. What else do I have to say? Oh, I hope the audio on this episode is better than the others in regards to the contrast between the live songs and my voice. I've tried to equalize it a bit manually without using filters and compressors, which can fuck up the sound. So there shouldn't be any, jarring transitions like there are in some of the other episodes. Hopefully I'm moving upward on this. So, okay. This is part 1 of episode 13. Whatever. There's more to come next week of Osaka. This is part 1 of the Osaka show, 1971, September 29th. Next week we will hear that smoking hot heartbreaker. And, buckle up, I have a 35-minute whole lot of love. So it's going to be a short podcast as far as me rambling and wandering around like I'm lost from the nursing home. And it'll be a lot of Led Zeppelin because we won't have time to fuck around. So, tune in next week, probably on Thursday or on Friday. We'll have part 2 of this, wrap it up. Like my podcast, follow me on Twitter, obey. Thank you, and good night.